Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday, happy Labor Day, and happy September. You guys, it's September. It is almost fall, y'all. I am Abra Kurt. I am a certified integrative life and wellness coach, and you are watching the premiere episode of my brand new live series, Sparked. Sparked is a weekly lifestyle series and a vibrant online community right here within the show, where each week we are going to light the fire of connection, reflection, and inspiration. And we are going to talk about all things personal growth, wellness, and the world around us. Because who couldn't use a little bit more positivity right now? So as you're jumping on tonight, please say hi. You are tuning in to the first episode of my new series, Sparked. It is Labor Day. It's a holiday. I'm still working, so I so appreciate you being here with me tonight. As you're hopping on, please say hi. My husband is always the first person on my shows. As I mentioned, if you are just tuning in, this is the first episode, the premiere episode of my brand new live series, Sparked, where each week we are going to light the fire of connection, reflection, and inspiration. Hi, Georgie. Hi, Mama Vicky. I'm so glad you guys are here. And Georgie, I'm so glad your power is back on. Our dear friend Georgie was in a power outage today in Ohio. They were having some severe weather, but she made it on tonight, and I'm so glad you guys are here. So each week here at Sparked, we are going to connect. We are going to reflect, and we are going to get inspired. So if you're a dreamer, a doer, or anyone who's just looking for a little bit more meaning or joy or fulfillment in your life, you are in the right place, my friend. So stay tuned. I'm going to share some tips and resources tonight to hit the reset button on 2020, because this episode and our theme for September are all about finishing this year strong. We have 4 months left, you guys. 4 months left in September. We are launching a new series in September because for me, September has always represented new beginnings, right? It's actually my birthday month, so it's literally a new year for me. But it's also the start of a new school year. It's the change of seasons. And a lot of people are, going back to work all re-energized and fresh after summer vacations or the August lull. And so September is a time to start fresh. So we're starting fresh here tonight with Sparked. Our theme for the whole month of September is refocusing our energy. And each week here at Sparked, we are going to have a weekly theme that relates back to that bigger month's theme. And tonight's episode is called Our Time is Now. Our time is now. Because, as Scott says, 2020 is one for the books. As you all are hopping on tonight, please say hi. Let me know you're here. I can't see, I don't get the notifications as people hop on. And so I'd love to see who's here. I'd love to be able to say hi. Let me know who's here, who's hopping on. And who's ready to hit the reset button on 2020, you guys? Who is ready to hit the reset button, right? 2020 has been a narrative. As Scott said, it is one for the books. Who started this year with a bunch of hopes and dreams and plans and goals and a vision board and maybe a set of resolutions or intentions that just went out the window in March, right? Okay, I bet a lot of us did, right? And now we are looking at September. We are almost at fall. And then we are 6 months into a pandemic, and how many of us are still not ready to start something new or pursue those goals or go back to that set of intentions that we wrote in January because let's just wait and see. Or 6 months, why bother? Why bother now, right? So many people are saying that. Tonight's episode is going to be all about flipping the script on 2020 and changing the narrative, finishing this year strong and being better prepared for what comes along in 2021. So that is a little taste of Sparked. That is a little taste of what we're going to see this week, tonight, in tonight's episode. You're also going to see some links to support our content and community. And each week, We pay it forward here at Sparked, and we donate 10% to charity every single week. And in a few minutes, I will talk a little bit more about the charity for this week. But right now, if all that sounds good to you, I would love for you to just throw up some hearts and hit the share button. Because you know what, you guys, as we're talking about 2020 and resetting the narrative and rewriting 2020 for ourselves, who wouldn't love to see some more positivity in your Facebook feed while you're at it, right? So please hit share, please throw up some hearts, and let's spread the word and some positivity about Sparked to our communities. Hey Donna, it's so good to see you. Jess, hi from Colorado. It is so great to see you all here. Janet, Patricia, hi. I'm so glad you all are here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so exciting to see so many people fired up about resetting 2020. And that is what we are here to talk about, you guys. That is what we are here to talk about tonight. So how many, can I just get a show of hands? So how many of us had a set of resolutions when we started this year? How many of us made a vision board? Okay, I did. I made a vision board. I picked a word of the year. I did all the things. How many of us did those things but haven't really looked back at it since March or maybe even February? Maybe some of us fall off the wagon earlier in the year. And maybe some of us are like chugging along and we're like, you know what? I'm kind of doing my thing, but I could use a little bit more inspiration, a little bit more of a reignite, right, on 2020. Give me a show of hands. Let me know if there is a dream or a goal on your heart that you had back in January that you kind of left back there, that you left back in January, that you left back in March, that you left back in April, because we're going to talk about how to reignite that dream tonight. And if you have ever tuned in to any of my other shows, tonight is the first episode of a brand new series, but there is one thing I am carrying forward, and I bet some of you know what that is. That is the quote of the week. I love starting shows with a quote that inspires me by a writer or a thinker or, you know, a famous person who I admire, that really sets the tone for what we are going to talk about in the content of our episode. And so tonight I have a great, succinct, and to the point quote to share from one of the greatest thinkers of all time. Donna says 2019 was a poo show for her. Personally, she had high hopes for 2020. Yeah, I think we all did, right? It was a new decade. We were all like, roaring 20s. Like, it's going to be so much fun. All the parties around New Year's with the roaring 20s themes. Scott says, quote, quote, quote. He had some resolutions. Yeah, like so many of us had plans, right? And so we are going to reignite that spark tonight, you guys. We are flushing the poo show of 2020 away, and we are going to start fresh. Okay, so it is time for the quote of the week. And tonight's quote is from Aristotle. You guys, Aristotle. And we've all heard that name, right? I mean, we all know, like, Aristotle, okay? But I was thinking, like, what could I really say about Aristotle? Like, how much of us really know a whole lot about Aristotle other than, like, Greek philosopher, right? Like, he was a fascinating dude, my friends. Aristotle was a really interesting guy. He was a polymath, which means he was just an expert and fluent in so many different topics, everything from, like, biology to music to metaphysics and poetry, politics, psychology, ethics, logic, all of these things. So Aristotle was one of the great thinkers of our time. He was a student of Plato, and he was the founder of the Lyceum. And I found this really great, short and to the point quote that just really cuts to the core of what we are going to talk about tonight. And the quote of the week is this: "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So if we want excellence in our lives, if we want that dream life that we envision, right, whether it starts in January or whether we've had these big, long dreams in our minds, right, excellence is about our habits. It's about what we repeatedly do. what we repeatedly do is the predictor for how our lives are going to turn out, whether they are excellent or not. And so right now I have another question for you guys. I want you to take to the comments and I want you to share with me, do your habits, if you are being totally honest, and I want you to be reflective for a second and I want you to be totally honest, do your current habits reflect the life you dream about for yourself? Do your everyday things you do as a routine on an ongoing basis every day, do your habits reflect the life you dream of? Do they support that vision in your head about what you want your life to be? And if you feel comfortable sharing, say, yeah, no, not so much, or I try, but, or maybe we don't even think about it, right? Because our habits, the things we do every day, we probably don't even think about it. We just do them, right? It's just rote behavior. Georgie says, yeah. Oh, Donna always forgot whether he was a teacher or a student at play. He was the student. Scott, yes, good quote, right? You guys, good quote. It's about habits. It's about what we do every day and how that sets us up for the life that lives up here, for the life that we dream of. And so how many of us, whether our habits currently support that or not, right? I bet all of us tuning in right now or who watch this on replay later have a habit or do something on a pretty regular basis that we want to chuck for the rest of this year. That if we stop doing this thing, this would free up time, this would put us on a better path to success. How many of us have a habit that we would like to break this year? In what is left of 2020, 4 months, how many of us have a habit that we'd like to break by the end of this year? If you say yes and you want to share what that is, if you want to stake your claim right now and say, I want to stop smoking, or I want to lose 5 pounds, or I want to start an exercise routine, or I want to sign up for a language class, or I want to volunteer more, whatever that habit is that's holding you back from success, right? Whether it's overeating, whether it's wasting your time watching Netflix instead of going out in the community and volunteering, whatever that habit is that's holding you back, raise your hand. Let me know if you want to break a habit this year, and if you feel comfortable sharing, let me know what that is. Janet says she saw something today that says stop before you start. Yeah, Janet, that is really good, right? It's about recognizing those moments when we're about to do something that is going to be counterproductive to the life we want to live, and stopping ourselves, being able to just say, I was just about to go down this rabbit hole of social media comments, or I was just about to pick up that bag of chips, or I was just about to do whatever, right? That doesn't support the dream that we have for our lives. Scott says most of his do, but sometimes he catches himself falling off track. Vicky says it's a cliche, but yeah, she wants to lose 15 pounds. I'm going to say I would love to do the same, you guys. I've gained some weight during the pandemic, right? Because Scott is home every single day. We love cooking together and cooking at home, and we love cooking with like real ingredients. So that's butter and sugar, and I love dessert. And so I put on some weight during the pandemic, and sometimes I take a second helping of pasta and I shouldn't. So I would love to lose some weight too. So some of my habits are around eating or exercising more. And Scott has been doing a really good job of trying to get me to work out and exercise more, but I know there are some things that I do that are holding me back, right? That I get distracted a lot. And I've asked him to help me with that. Like if he sees me on my phone when I'm supposed to be journaling, he'll say, "Are you being distracted right now?" And I'll either be like, "Yep, thanks for the reminder," or I'll be like, "No, not distracted at all. I'm just right here working," right? But it's a reminder that we need, right? Sometimes, like Janet said, it's the stop before you start is the ideal. But if we find ourselves kind of slipping into those things, recognizing them as soon as we can and course correcting, right? So we all have habits that we want to break or things that we want to do by the end of the year. Georgie also says, me too. I think a lot of us, I think a lot of us probably put on a pound or 2 or 15 in maybe in my case, right? During the pandemic, right? We've spent way more time at home, probably cooking our own meals, eating in different ways, stress eating, right? How many of us have spent a lot of time worrying over the past 6 months, right? Just spending time wondering and worrying about the future. I know I have. In fact, you guys know I love reading the comics in the paper, and I cut out a comic strip in the Sunday paper a couple weeks ago, and it's literally an entire comic strip about the character scheduling days of the week to worry about different things. And it's supposed to be funny. Except it's not, right? Because it's real and it's our lives, and they figured probably a lot of people can relate to that, which is why they put it in the paper, and we'll all be like, huh, yeah, that's me. I'm worry about, losing my health insurance on Tuesdays, right? As the, pig says in the cartoon. But you guys, it's not funny, right? So worry is a habit that I would like to break. And all of those things, right? All of those things that we do that hold us back, they are all big time wasters. And so we are going to talk about how to stop doing the things that are holding us back, start creating some new habits that are going to move us forward, and finish the year stronger and better prepared for 2021. All right. So, how many of us have some new habits that took root during the pandemic, like the bad habits, the overeating, or the binge watching, like hours of TV every day, or, gyms were closed, so we're not exercising as much? Has anybody developed some negative new habits during the pandemic? Georgie says she loves to cook and bake. Yeah. Donna wants to lose the quarantine 15. Yeah, right. They used to talk about that when we would go away to college, right? The freshman 15. Now we all have the quarantine 15. Janet has a PhD in worrying. Yeah, so many of us do. Julia says worrying and obsessing about worrying, right? We worry about worrying. It's a vicious cycle, y'all. It's a vicious cycle. Stress eating and drinking, right? Yeah, all of those things. So many of us have developed habits during the pandemic that we didn't even have before. So these things weren't even like concerns. And then this comes along and we're worried about all the things. And now we have new bad habits that we have to kick in the process. And you guys, that is what this episode is all about. All about. And in fact, in a couple of minutes, I am going to share my secret for how to get back an entire extra week between now and the end of the year. I'm going to give you an entire work week of time between now and the end of the year. So stay tuned. All right. I want to ask you guys something else. I want to ask you to take to the comments again and give me a one word or an emoji, if that feels more appropriate for you. One word or an emoji that sums up 2020 so far in your mind. How you are looking, the story that you are telling about 2020 right now. One word, one emoji. Share in the comments, please. I would love to see what you guys have to say about 2020 so far right now, today. And Donna says, all of that wine or beer or cocktails have calories. Yeah, exactly. Vicky says she has never been one to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, but what else were we going to do while quarantined? Yeah, she can only clean out so many closets, right? Exactly. So we've all picked up probably one or two new habits or one or two new pounds during the pandemic that we didn't have before that we want to kick. What is your one word or emoji about 2020? Scott says challenging, but not impossible, because Scott breaks every rule I ask and shares more than one word. Scott says challenging. I like that because it's not super negative. It's acknowledging that there's some hardship, but challenges are things that we normally try to face, right, and overcome. Julie's emoji is the exclamation point and question mark. Yeah, exactly. Like the and the what? Yeah, exactly. Love that. Mine, I'm going to go back to the word of the year that I picked in January and put on my vision board, which is kintsugi. And those of you who have turned into maybe a past show have heard me talk about kintsugi. But what it is, in a nutshell, it's a Japanese art form around fixing broken pottery. And you fix the cracks with a gold lacquer. And so the finished product is actually more resilient, more beautiful, because now you have these beautiful veins of gold in pottery that didn't exist before. And so it makes the broken vessel stronger, more resilient, and more beautiful than it was before. Kintsugi. And I think that word is probably a lot like most of us have experienced 2020, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a little analogy here with kintsugi being my word of the year. So if we think about 2020, right? We may have started 2020. Think about starting 2020 with a bowl full of hopes and dreams and goals and things that you wanted to accomplish in 2020, right? And you put that bowl on the table and, a strong gust of wind comes along and blows it off the table and it breaks into a couple of pieces on the floor. And all your hopes and dreams spill out of the bowl. And so that's kind of the story of 2020, right? As of March and April. Our bowl broke. Our dreams are like all over the floor. And so are broken pieces of this pottery, right? And so how did we respond to that breakage is what happens, right? May, June, July, right? Some of us maybe just kind of stepped around the broken pieces, tried to ignore the mess, right, on the floor. Maybe some of us just cleaned it up, threw it out, and forgot we even had the bowl and the hopes and dreams that were inside it, right? But what tonight's episode is about is actually picking the pieces of that bowl up. And we are going to talk about fixing it. We're going to repair it with our gold lacquer. And we are going to make a more beautiful, stronger, resilient bowl than we had in January. And we're going to put our hopes and dreams and goals back in there, you guys. September is about fixing our bowl. Jess says because everything was so tragic during the stay-at-home orders, she actually worked out more, saw friends more, and enjoyed what her neighborhood has to offer because she took those things for granted. She could use some mindset advice. Yeah. I think a lot of us at the beginning, right, Jess can totally relate to that. We were like, oh my gosh, I have to do the things, do all the things and do them more than we did before. And how many of us were on like Zoom happy hours all the time and like trying to see our friends more because we couldn't see them in person. And maybe we didn't even see our friends every single week anyway, but now we're on like Zoom happy hours all the time because we're like, it was so pressing that we do the things, right? Donna gave a clown face, a poo emoji, and like a demon face. So yeah, we have some feelings about 2020, you guys. We have some 2020 feelings. And September is going to be about fixing our bowl, rewriting those feelings so that if I ask you this same question in December about the last 4 months starting in September, I want all of your emojis and all of your words to look very different than they do right now. Okay, we're going to fix our bowls, you guys. Who's feeling inspired? Who is feeling inspired to start fixing some bowls? Give me a show of hands, throw up some hearts, give me a heck yeah, I am inspired. I want to fix my bowl. Let's do this. That's why I'm here. Let's get to the good stuff, all right? I'm going to give you my number one tip. Anytime we want to start something new or we want to set a new goal or start a new habit, my number one tip for fitting that thing into our lives, right? Because that's the thing we have to do first. We have to fit the thing that we want to start into the life we have. Bob says, forced to get back to simple things. Sorry to break the roll. Yeah. Scott says, me. Yeah, me. We want this to look different. Yeah, it's a heck yeah from everybody. Patricia is a big yes. All right, you guys. So first we need to fit the new thing into the life we have. And when we already are like up to here with all the things, right? I'm sure, some of us are parents that are trying to homeschool kids on top of it. We're doing jobs from home now and homeschooling kids and, trying to just fit all of the things in. And it's a lot, right? It's a lot of things. It's not just the things that the pandemic has created too. I get that. 2020 has thrown us so many curveballs. It's the pandemic, it's the social injustice and unrest, right? It's natural disasters. It is environmental destruction. It's an election year on top of it, right? There's so much right now. There's so much. And it's piling on, right? And so the first thing we need to do if we want to start a new habit and set some goals and get some things done between now and December is make the space for it. My number one tip to do that is real simple, you guys. Number one tip, my big secret, stop wasting time. Stop wasting time. Okay? I want you to think back to the title of tonight's episode. Our time is now. Our time is now. Say it all the different ways, emphasize all the different words. Our time is now. Our time is now. Our time is now. I want you to start thinking about your life and your time synonymously. Okay? And every minute that we spend wasting time is actually wasting our life away. Okay? We're robbing ourselves of living by wasting time because our life is actually made up of our time. Okay? One of the phrases that hurts my heart the most in the world is killing time. And my husband actually wrote a country song called Killing Time years and years ago. And it's a phrase that just hurts my heart because who wants to kill time, right? We should be investing our time, or at the very least spending it doing something that we enjoy or whatever. But killing time is actually killing off part of our lives. And I want us, if anybody out there uses that phrase, let's just like eliminate it from our vocabulary. All right, let's 1984 thought police it out of existence because we are not going to kill time anymore. Okay, so I want us to start thinking about our lives and our time synonymously. Okay, I think I mentioned this earlier, but if I didn't, or if you weren't on the episode yet, how many people saw the meme that was going all over Facebook about the most useless thing I bought in 2020 was my day planner? Who saw that meme? Okay. I saw that meme and I was just like, I use my day planner every single day, y'all, every day. Even on Saturdays and Sundays, I write down my top 3 things I want to get done. I use my day planner every single day. The first thing I tell all my new clients to do if they don't already have one is buy a new day planner. And there are some people that I've worked with who I know are going to be watching this show and they're going to be like, yep, she did. That's true. I had to buy a day planner because she made me. Because y'all have work to do. And we're going to need a place to write it down because we need to write things down to keep track of them. And you guys, it's also a fact that if you write down your goals and hopes and dreams, you are 42% more likely to achieve them. Yes, there has been a scientific study about this, and I committed that statistic to memory. 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. So imagine if you upped the odds of anything by 42% by writing it down, right? If you could be 42% more likely to win the lottery by doing a thing, or if you were 42% more likely to prevent the onset of an illness by doing a thing, right? Like you would do it. 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. So, day planner, not the most useless thing you bought in 2020. But I promise you this, going down the rabbit hole of like Facebook memes, one of the most useless ways we could be spending our time in 2020. Vicky says a day planner is on her Christmas gift list every year. That is a true story because I bought her one this past year for Christmas. And Mama, I hope you're using it. So yeah, you guys, if you're going down those Facebook memes and like all the crap about 2020 sucking and being the worst year ever and all the things, and like 15 minutes later, we're like, oh, I'm still on Facebook and look at the time. Or, you know, Twitter, right? Twitter notifications pop up and it's like, oh, now I'm like, look what Donald Trump said today. And oh my God, look what Chrissy Teigen said back to him. Holy crap. And now we're reading every single comment on Chrissy Teigen's tweet because of why, right? What does that have to do with anything? And again, 15, 20 minutes later, we know everything that all of Chrissy Teigen's followers said on Twitter, and we got nothing done in those 15 or 20 minutes. Apocalypse bingo, right? Who had this on their bingo card? Murder hornets? I didn't have that on my bingo card. Did you? Anytime we spend our time just, you know, even if it seems funny at the time, but it's sucking our time away from us, we're killing time, we're wasting time doing these things. It's time that we could be spent doing something that is actually moving a goal or a dream forward. And you guys, this is how I'm going to give you a work week's worth of time between now and the end of the year. Okay. I promise you this, 15 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. And this is not my tip, but this is something else. This is other math because we all love math here. 15 minutes a day just spent like scrolling Twitter or reading a bunch of memes or doing whatever is actually robbing us of 2 full work weeks every year. 15 minutes a day. You guys do the math. 15 minutes a day times 365 divided by 60 for hours in a day divided by weeks. It literally comes out, it's like 11 and a half days of 8-hour work days. So it's like robbing yourself of a 2-week vacation by just doing that for 15 minutes a day, every day. True story, you guys, true story. All right. So my number one tip, we're going to stop wasting time. We're going to stop reading the stupid memes. We're going to stop reading, and I love me some Chrissy Teigen. Don't get me wrong. I have her cookbook. I think she's great. Her and John Legend, love them, love them. I don't care what all her followers have to say on Twitter. And so I'm not going to spend my time reading that stuff because I have crap to do. Trish says she has a terrible memory since COVID-19 has been stuck at home. Yes. Oh my gosh, Trish, I'm so glad you said that. Because I also cut out this article from the Post that talks about Corona brain, right? It's very real. It is a real phenomenon people are writing about, people are talking about, and it's preventing a lot of us from achieving our goals. And so that's another reason why writing things down, getting a day planner, actually planning it out is going to make such a big difference. Scott says Facebook is a huge time suck. Yeah, but not Facebook live shows, right? Yeah, because these are good. These are good. This is not a waste of time. So, and I also want to be clear, right, you guys, there's a difference between, not all social media is a time waste, right? Like there's social media that's actually used for pro-social activities, right? Connecting with our friends, seeing our, cousin's new baby, or our friend from high school just got a new job and we're like, yeah, you go girl, right? Or, watching some live music on a Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock, or tuning in on a Monday night to get some tips for like finishing the year strong, right? Like it's not all a waste of time, but what I'm talking about are like the useless activities that really have no bearing on bringing us joy, making us more connected to anyone, or helping us actually get something done and achieving our goals, right? Now, if you're a content creator or a community manager and you spend your time on Facebook, that is a whole different story, right? If it's your job, it's your job. But I'm talking about reading all 572, comments on Twitter, or all of the ridiculous memes and things like that, right? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a waste of time. We're going to stop wasting time. We're going to think of our life and our time synonymously. All right. We have 115 days left in 2020. As of today, 115 more days left in 2020. And so right now, I'm going to give you that tip for getting a work week worth of time between now and then. Okay. So and I know some of us work more than 8 hours a day. Some of us work less than 8 hours a day, but we're going with like the industry average here of like a 40-hour week, right? So I'm going to give you guys a 40-hour week of time to do with however you want, okay? 20 minutes a day. I want you to think about 20 minutes a day that you spend doing something that you can cut out, right? Catching yourself before you go down that meme rabbit hole on Facebook, or reading all 572 comments on Twitter, or, oversleeping, hitting your alarm twice, right? There's 20 minutes right there. Okay. Don't hit snooze. Whatever it is, watching another episode of Cobra Kai, right? Because that's what we're doing right now. Who's watching Cobra Kai on Netflix? Okay, who's watching Cobra Kai? Give me a show of hands for my Cobra Kai peeps, because Scott and I are digging that show a lot. And I was thinking about Johnny in the concept of like coaching, right? And so Cobra Kai, for those of you who don't know, is like a brand new spin. Well, it's not brand new. It was actually a YouTube show, but Netflix just picked it up. So it's brand new for a lot of us who didn't have YouTube Red like 2 years ago. But it's a spin-off series from the Karate Kid movies of the 80s. And it's repitting Ralph Macchio's good guy Danny against the sort of bad guy, golden boy, Johnny, whose life didn't turn out quite so golden. And so all the old rivalries are back. They have children involved now, so there's new generations of rivalries, and it's all the things. But I was thinking about Johnny as a life coach, and then there's Daniel, who has this very gentle Mr. Miyagi Zen approach. And I'm like, I'm not going to be Johnny, who's the jerk and tells you that you're a loser for like wasting time and doing things, but I'm not quite Mr. Miyagi either. So I'm kind of somewhere in between Miyagi and Johnny, right? I'm not the jerk who's going to call you a loser, but I am going to say, stop wasting time. All right. So that's where we are. Cobra Kai, y'all. Scott says, is he on the Cobra Kai? Okay. All right. Anyway, it was also a metaphor for life coaching and, being our best selves. So that's where that came from. All right. So we have 115 days left in 2020, you guys. 115 days, 20 minutes a day. All right. I want you to do the math with me right now. If you have a calculator, if you have a phone and you're not watching this on your phone, I want you to get your phone out and do the math with me. I've got my phone right here. I'm opening up my calculator. 20 minutes a day times 115 days is 2,300 minutes. 2,300 minutes that you are going to get back between now and December 31st. Okay. So we're going to divide 2,300 minutes by 60 minutes in an hour. Okay. That's 38.33 hours divided by an 8-hour workday, right? 8-hour workday is 4.79. So it's 4.8. It's almost an entire 5-day work week. If you can just find 20 extra minutes in your day where you stop wasting time, or you don't hit snooze, or you don't watch that extra episode of whatever on Netflix or Hulu, and you take that time and you spend it working on a goal or a dream you have. 20 minutes a day, you guys. A week's worth of time, a week's worth of work days to spend on your dream. And that's just in 4 months, you guys. That's just in 4 months. So imagine if you multiply that by 2 other 4 months sections. Okay, that's 3 work weeks a year. You can get back for your life by 20 minutes of not wasting time, you guys. All right. So that is a big time-saving tip. Okay, we're going to stop wasting time, and we're actually going to build time in to do the new things by taking that 20 minutes a day. And you're like, yeah, but habits are hard, right? Like, habits are hard to break. Like, I hit the snooze alarm. I've been hitting the snooze alarm every day for how many years? Or, but it's hard to stop doing these things, right? Okay, I get it, you guys. I get it. Habits are hard to break, right? There are like songs written about it. There's like the 80s song, right? Hard habit to break. I get it. All right. It's not just like flipping a switch. All right. But the more we practice, the more we hold ourselves accountable, and the more we have somebody else in our life to hold us accountable, right? Because for me, sometimes it's Scott, right? Looking over the railing in the morning while I'm supposed to be journaling and I'm on my phone doing whatever and asking me if I'm being distracted. And so get an accountability buddy, right? Get a life coach, or have your friend or your spouse or someone just to check in with you and make sure you're sticking to your goals, right? Have an accountability person. Okay. So habits are hard to break, but I mentioned that I was going to start sharing some good news stories. And I have a good news story to share with you to illustrate how even the most entrenched, deeply, deeply entrenched bad habits can be broken just by setting a goal and committing to it, you guys. So I have a good news story I want to share about breaking deeply entrenched bad habits. All right. And it's about the European Union's investment bank. I know it's not super sexy. It's not like a celebrity story or a Greek philosopher even. It's not about Cobra Kai or some fun new show on Netflix. It's about the European Union Investment Bank. But it is to illustrate that something that moves as slowly as the banking and financial services industries, because y'all, I've been there and they move very slowly, and it's a very process heavy like thing for decisions to be made and things to change. So if this story doesn't inspire us to like we can get some things done in 4 months, right? So I want to share the story. European Union Investment Bank has committed to stop funding oil, gas, and coal projects by the end of 2021. Okay, that's the end of next year. All right, that's 4 plus 12, 16 months. Okay, in 16 months, they are committing to ending funding for all of those old fossil fuel industries. Okay, this isn't like a 2030 moonshot kind of promise. They're saying by the end of next year, we're done. And the bank has funded $13.4 billion in fossil fuel projects since 2013, but they are now committing to making lending decisions that reflect the Paris Climate Agreement. So they're saying we want our business to reflect what's good for the whole world, you guys, for the whole world, not just their bank, not just their industry. They're going to start making decisions that are better for the whole world, and they are committing to investing $1 trillion in climate-focused projects over the next decade. Okay, their president described it as a quantum leap shift in their ambition. Okay, so if an industry like financial services and the European Union's investment bank can say, in 16 months, we are going to shift our lending completely away from this one area and invest $1 trillion in these new projects, we can like start eating better, right? We can start exercising. We can stop scrolling Twitter for 20 minutes a day and start working on some goals and dreams in our own lives. Donna says, way to bring it back, Scott. Yeah, Hard Habit to Break. Chicago song. And oh my gosh, it was the theme song to Karate Kid 2. It's all full circle. See the universe creating some synergy there. So, European Union Investment Bank story. Who's inspired by that, you guys? I know it's not super sexy, but I'm really inspired by that on so many levels, you guys. Not just by the fact that an industry is changing its ways and they're doing something good for the entire planet, but that we can just say, you know what? We're not going to do things the same old way anymore. We don't have to do things the same old way anymore just because that's the way it's always been done, right? We can start thinking in new and different ways and make a difference. All right, so I want to ask you guys, what is your quantum leap? What's a quantum leap big dream that you have, all right, that you maybe wrote down in January as an intention or you put on your vision board? If you feel comfortable sharing in the comments, what's a big dream that you started 2020 with that you haven't realized yet? Scott says $1 trillion. That's a commitment. Yeah, that is a big dang commitment. Okay. We are not going to make $1 trillion commitment, but we are going to make the personal equivalent of $1 trillion commitment to one of our dreams. All right. So I want you guys to think back to January when you were making your vision boards or you were writing resolutions or you were setting intentions, creating goals that you wanted to get done. What was one big dream that you had for 2020 that has fallen by the wayside? Okay. If you feel comfortable sharing that, share it in the comments. I'd love to read what some of us are going to get back to you in these next 4 months. Okay. For me, one of my big dreams that I wanted to pursue this year was writing a book. It has been a long time coming. I bought some books about writing books this year, and I knew I was going to be starting my journey in life coaching, and I had all of these stories I wanted to share and things I wanted to say about engaging and changing our lives and changing the world at the same time, and writing a book was a big dream. And I started outlining it, but I've never actually gone and like written pages. You know, I have this like outline. I have, you know, some quotes I want to include because of course I have quotes that I want to put in my book and things like that, but I haven't actually gone and written pages. So that's a dream that I had written down at the beginning of 2020 that I thought I was going to be working on quite a bit this year. That I thought I was going to focus on, you know, writing my book, and maybe by the end of the year I would have a first draft or at least enough chapters finished that I could start, you know, shopping it around, writing some query letters around it, something like that. So if you have a dream that you put on hold at the beginning of the year that hasn't come to fruition yet, I want you to think about it, right? I want you to think about something that you wanted to accomplish this year that you haven't yet. Okay? Our time is now. And I'm going to share a 5-step plan for getting started on that dream. We might not finish the big dream, okay? But we're going to get to a goal marker by the end of this year. Okay, we're going to get to a goal marker by the end of this year on our big dream. All right, 5-step plan. Okay. Trish says losing 30 pounds and how to get out of her IT job. 2 big dreams, 2 quantum leap goals, right? Those are big goals, big dreams. Thank you for sharing those, Trish. I really appreciate that. We are going to talk about how you can start doing some things every single day with your 20 minutes a day. You're going to pick one of those things. All right. I'm going to give you my 5-step plan for accomplishing a goal marker towards one of those big dreams by the end of this year. And we're going to start today or tomorrow. 115 days left, 20 minutes a day. We're going to have a work week's worth of time to work on our big dream. Okay, 20 minutes a day between now and December 31st. All right, 5-step plan is this. Okay, number one, I want you to write down, because this is about writing things down too. Okay, we're not just going to say, oh yeah, this is what I think the answer to this question is. We are going to write things down. Janet says she wanted to put 2019 behind her. 2020 gave her a rerun. Yeah, compounded by COVID, but working on that reset. Yeah, a lot of us are working on that reset, and we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it in these shows. That is why we started Spark, right? A place for connection, reflection, and inspiration for actual actionable tips that we can take back and use in our own lives to inspire and spark change, right? And make a difference in our own lives. Scott says he wants to set aside 1 hour per day to focus on songwriting. That's huge, Scott. Thank you for sharing that, because I know right now you do your songwriting, you make co-write dates, and you've been doing it on Zoom. You're not traveling to Nashville right now. And so to set aside time every single day instead of just when you have those co-writes, maybe once every 2 weeks, that's huge. So setting time aside every single day. Patricia says, dream is also around writing. Yeah, Patricia and I share that. She had planned to send all her short stories out for publication and little by little get them placed. Yeah. So we have dreams, you guys, right? We all have something that we want to accomplish or at least get started on in a really concrete, significant way by the end of the year. Okay. 5-step plan. Number 1, I want you to write down, actually write them down, your top 5 to 10 core values. Your top 5 to 10 core values. Okay. And for those of you who don't know what your dream is yet, because I know some of you didn't share, maybe it's because you didn't want to share, maybe you don't know what your thing is. All right. But I want you to start thinking about what your thing is. And maybe some of you have already identified it, but for those of you who haven't, and even for those of you who have, this is a really helpful exercise because it will help you identify more things, and it's going to be a habit. It's a habit that I do every day, and it's a habit that I recommend for everybody who just wants to level up your life in general, but also actually accomplish things and work toward your dreams. Because we all have hopes and dreams, right? But it's a matter of, are we actually working on them? Do our habits, like we talked about with the Aristotle quote, right? Excellence is a habit, okay? It's what we regularly do. Do our habits reflect what our hopes and dreams actually are? I don't know, sometimes yes, sometimes no. We want them to consistently reflect those hopes and dreams. Vicki says she had a lot of travel plans, but sadly it's going to be a while before that can happen. Out of her control. Yes, I want to say something about that, Vicki. Thank you for bringing that up, because some of the things that got put on hold were dreams and plans that we had, and sometimes things just come in that are out of our control and throw a wrench in it, right? They wrecked our plans, right? Like a vacation got canceled. Things happen that are beyond our control that stop us from achieving things that we wanted to get done this year, or, having those experiences, right? There are things out of our control. There are things that we can do that are proactive. There are things that how we respond to the things outside of our control and what we do next determine how we bounce back from that, right? We can spend our time wallowing, right, that we can't go on vacation this year. And I know you don't. But there may be people who do. And we can spend our time thinking about all those vacations that got canceled. Or we can say, all right, well, I have that time that I'm not going to be on vacation, so I'm going to spend it doing something else, right? Tracy says running a half marathon and losing 25 pounds. Those are also big moonshot quantum leap goals, Tracy. Yes. Thank you for sharing those. Those are big dreams. And we're going to talk about 5 steps to get us toward accomplishing a goal marker on that road to those big dreams by the end of this year. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Okay, number 1, we are going to write down our top 5 to 10 core values. Top 5 to 10 core values. And those are things maybe like creativity, love, independence, integrity. I don't know what they are for you, okay? Those are some of mine. But we're going to write down our top 5 to 10 core values, okay? Number 2, guided by those values, we're going to write down 5 to 10 big dreams for our lives, okay? We already know what some of them are, right? Maybe it's traveling to new, interesting places every year. Maybe it's running a marathon. Maybe it's losing X number of pounds. Maybe it's putting out a new album, okay? Writing a book, getting our short stories placed. Whatever some of those dreams are, okay, we want to write our list of like our big dreams, right? Our big dreams, because I have more than just the big dream of like writing a book, right? And it doesn't all have to be about like the act of checking a box, right? But it can be a big dream of just, all of my relationships are healthy and loving and joyful and fulfilling, right? So thinking about ways that we can be purposefully proactive every single day around what kind of relationships we have with other people, right? So our dreams can be bigger, sort of overarching life things. They can be, I want to check that off my bucket list, travel, or career accomplishments, or whatever they may be, right? We're going to write down 5 to 10 of our biggest dreams for our lives, guided by our core values, right? And so we want those dreams to support like our vision for our life, right? Like when we're at the end of our life, looking back over it, and we say, these are the things I want to have accomplished. This is the person I want to have been. What are the dreams that we have that reflect that person we want to have been, that life we want to have lived, okay? 5 to 10 core values, 5 to 10 big dreams, guided by those core values and our vision for our truest, most beautiful life that we want to live and person we want to be. All right, so we're going to make that list. We're going to pick one. We are going to pick one dream to work on between now and the end of the year, okay? Not 2, because if we try to chase 2 things and we try to start 2 new things at once in a short time frame, it most likely, right, there's like that little parable about if a fox tries to chase 2 rabbits, it's not going to catch either one, right? It's kind of not the best analogy, but I don't like the idea of a fox catching a rabbit and what happens. But if we try to chase 2 things, our focus is going to be diluted. Okay, so we're going to pick one. We're going to pick one of those dreams to focus on between now and the end of the year. And we're going to work backwards and say, what are some milestones I would need to hit along the way to actually achieve that, right? So for me, for my book dream, right? So there's the publication of a book. There's the published book. So working backwards, well, I need to find a publisher. I need to find an agent to shop the book around to publishers. I need to secure an agent by writing query letters. I need to be able to write query letters based on finished product or chapters of the book at the very least, right? So I need to start writing the dang book, right? Because an unpublished author with just an outline isn't going to go anywhere. I need to actually sit down and start writing the dang pages. So my goal marker could be something like, I'm going to write a page every single day. And that is my thing, okay? So we're going to back up from the end and look at what are some of the early mile markers that we have to hit to achieve that goal. If it's running a marathon, right? And maybe we're not like already distance runners, right? It could be like, okay, so finishing a half marathon. So that's your, 13.1, right? And then an earlier goal could be like shorter distances, right? Like timing yourself in those shorter distances, or if it's a weight loss goal, right? So if we want to lose, I don't know if it's realistic that we lose 30 pounds between now and the end of the year, but in a healthy way. But if we say, I want to lose 10 pounds between now and the end of the year and consistently keep it off, right? Because we can drop lots of weight quickly, but then we rebound and it doesn't always stay off, right? So in a healthy, consistent way, lose 10 pounds between now and the end of the year. What do those mile markers look like? What kind of calorie intake does that look like for me? What kind of app can I use to help me track my food logs, right? And my exercise, my calorie burning, right? Calorie intake and output, to see where I'm hitting those mile markers, right? So there are little things that we can do on a daily basis, no matter what the dream is, right? Even if it's more abstract, like having healthier relationships, right? There are little things we can do, right? So, the dream relationship with your spouse might be like, oh, you're just super in love and you have a date night once a week and you do all these things. Well, and maybe right now you barely even talk. Okay, so what does it look like to get from hardly even seeing each other and talking to like spending all this quality time together? Well, maybe you start with like a conversation every day, or, having one meal together a week or something, right? But it gets you to this like different place. Or we can, if we're starting from a more difficult place, right? It's a matter of showing appreciation for somebody every single day and building that core foundation of a relationship to get you to a place of like having date nights or having better communication or whatever the goal is, right? If it's relationship or more abstract related. So even if it's not a concrete, like lose 20 pounds, run a marathon, write a book, there are things we can do every day to work toward our goals. Donna says picking a goal and a bra. I love that. Breaking down into milestones is a logic model. Yes. Speaking our language as a strategist. Yes, yes, yes. Life coaching is all about strategy, right? It's about setting concrete goals, setting mile markers, achieving them, right? Doing habits every day, setting up routines for success. So yeah, coaching is all about strategy. It's all about strategy. So Donna, thank you for recognizing that. Yeah, speaking the same language. Okay. So 5 to 10 core values, 5 to 10 big dreams. We are going to pick one. We are going to work backwards, and we are going to set one goal of that big dream to reach by the end of the year. So for me, maybe it's, writing one page a day and seeing how many pages I can write. Or maybe it's realistically trying to write 3 pages a week or something, but whatever that is, right? Setting a goal, something that we can do every single day that gets us farther ahead between now and the end of the year. Okay. Step number 5 is the most important one. Okay. This last step is the most important one because you did all the work. Okay. Right. You have to do the thing. All right. You have to do the thing. And the best way I know to keep yourself accountable, even if you don't have that accountability partner, even if you don't have that husband looking at you on your phone saying, are you being distracted right now? Even if you don't have that, keeping yourself accountable, okay? Because he can say all he wants to me, are you distracted? But if I don't want to keep myself accountable, it's not going to happen. So we have to hold ourselves accountable. So the last step is the most important one, I believe, for actually achieving that goal. And that is getting a journal and repeating steps 1 through 4 every single day. And you've heard me say this before, guys. I say it to every client I have. I say it to every client I have. I got Scott journaling, y'all. I got Scott journaling every single day. I've been doing this every single day for almost a year now, okay? And I'm getting closer. I can feel things falling into place because I am more aligned with my goals and purpose. And writing it down, right? Writing down those values or writing down the things that we're grateful for. Okay, whatever that sort of top line thing is that we maybe, if it's our gratitude journal that changes every day, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, and I write down my 10 big dreams every single day. The 10 big dreams every single day. And I look at those and I write them out and I remember that is what I want my life to look like. Now, I don't write my core values out every single day, but the big dreams, I believe, is essential for us to write down. And I also recommend doing this in the morning. I do this as a morning part of my morning ritual, okay? And if that 20 minutes is about getting up earlier instead of hitting the snooze alarm, get up 20 minutes earlier to create a morning ritual. You guys, it is so worth it. It will set you up for success during the day, okay? Get a journal, write those dreams down every single day to have that foundation to reflect back on, to know this is the trajectory I want for my life. Is my day going to reflect these dreams? Or am I going to read Chrissy Teigen's Twitter feed for an hour? It's up to us, right? It's up to us to make that choice and hold ourselves accountable. Journaling it out every single day is the best way I have found to do that. All right, you guys. That is hitting the reset button on 2020, all right? Creating some new habits, that daily ritual of journaling, writing down our dreams, doing the thing every single day, the daily habit. The daily habit. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. It's the thing we regularly do, right? Okay. I promised I was going to talk about this week's charity, and I know we're right at 1 hour, but I want to quickly mention, because we're talking about doing things. We're talking about making a difference and doing things for our lives, but this will also impact our families, the world around us, right? So the charity for this week, you guys, is dosomething.org. Dosomething.org is the charity for this week. And those of you who have maybe already heard of Do Something might remember that it was started back in the early 90s by the actor Andrew Shue. Gosh, okay, another Karate Kid tie-in, y'all. His sister, Elizabeth Shue, was played Ralph Macchio's girlfriend in the original Karate Kid. So dosomething.org was founded by Andrew Shue in the early 90s. It's a youth organizing organization that inspires young people to take up their authority, to take up action in their own communities for like positive change, for civic action, and to make a difference in their communities and the world. And so that is this week's charity. It is Do Something, because I couldn't think of a better charity for this week's theme about resetting 2020 than Do Something. So that is this week's charity. I also want to share a resource, okay? And I mentioned this phrase that a lot of us, I think, have used in 2020 earlier, why bother? If anybody is interested in a deeper dive than the 1 hour that we spent together tonight, I highly recommend this book, literally called Why Bother? By Jennifer Loudon. She's a life coach, personal growth expert, and she literally wrote a book called Why Bother? And it's 333 pages of why and how to bother, okay? More than, my life coaching tips that I shared tonight. She has a lot of wisdom packed into that book for anybody who wants a deeper dive. I highly recommend that. I also promised that I was going to share my September book club pick, because those of you who have been with me before know that I also have a virtual book club that is connected to my live shows. And once a month, the last Monday of the month, I discuss that month's book. And you can either buy the book and read along with me, or just tune in to get the key takeaways, right? It doesn't matter if you read the book with me or not. It's more fun when people do, but you don't have to still tune into the show and get the key takeaways. So also in rebranding this show to Sparked every week, I've rebranded my virtual book club. The new name for my virtual book club is Let's Get Lit. Let's Get Lit, you guys. And of course, it is a play on words of literature and lit, because we are lighting the spark of connection, reflection, and inspiration, not only in our weekly talks, but in the books I choose for our weekly book club. So I want to share that my September pick is Marie Forleo's Everything is Figure-Outable. Everything is Figure-Outable by Marie Forleo. And I've been kind of picking books that were newer releases. This book was literally released 1 year ago this month. 1 year ago this month. And it had such an impact on me. I bought this book as soon as it came out. I love Marie. She hosts her own TV show, a virtual TV show online called Marie TV. But she's so fantastic. And she's a life coach who just, Jersey girl who cuts to the core and gets straight to the point. And she's hilariously funny. And so inspiring. And this book is a mantra that her mom taught her. Everything is figure outable. And it's essentially today's like can-do mindset, right? We used to call it a can-do mindset. Marie calls it everything is figure outable, you guys. And this book had such an impact on me that when I was doing some work last year in the nonprofit space and I was in a place to hire an associate position to stay on in the role after me, I actually included an everything is figure outable mindset on my list of qualifications for the job. And the person I hired was the person who mirrored that language back to me. Of all the people I interviewed, she was the only one who actually used that language in an interview. And I was like, you're the one. So Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo is my September Let's Get Lit book club choice. And she's going to light some more fires about figuring things out, right? Like her whole point is, unless it is an irrefutable law of nature, like, death or the sun rising or gravity or something like that, anything is figure outable. Everything is figure outable, right? You just have to have the mindset and attitude to do it. And she gives us a ton of takeaways. And also this book is where I learned that statistic about being 42% more likely to achieve our goals if we write them down. So this right here is where I learned that. So if you want to pick up Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo, read along with me this month. We are going to discuss that book on September 28th episode of Sparked. In the meantime, the next 2 weeks, we will be back here on Mondays at 7:30. We will continue our month-long theme of refocusing our energy. Next week, we are going to be talking about the negativity cleanse. The negativity cleanse, y'all. And it's going to be fun, right? How many have ever done a detox diet? Right? Okay. Next week is all about the negativity cleanse. So that is next week's topic here on Sparked. Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much for spending this hour with me. I hope you are having an amazing Labor Day holiday, and I will see you back here next Monday at 7:30 for the negativity cleanse. Have a great rest of your evening, you all. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves. I love you all. Good night.